Have you ever paused a worship song because the words seemed to lift right off the screen and speak straight to your heart? That sudden hush, those chills, that little spark of hope, millions all over the world felt exactly that the first time. They heard Waymaker, yet few know the full tale of the woman behind the anthem. Today's story pulls back the curtain on Osinachi Kalu, better known as Sinoch, tracing the road from her childhood in Abia State, Nigeria, to the global stages where voices in dozens of languages now rise on melodies she first sang as a shy choir girl. Stay with me to see how faith, patience, and a gentle refusal to feed gossip turned one songwriter into a beacon for believers everywhere. Sinoch entered the world on March 30th, 1973, in a loving Christian family that valued prayer, music, and service. She was the eighth of 9 children, and in that busy household, songs often served as both lullaby and conversation. While other kids chased each other around the yard, young Osinachi stayed close to any radio or choir rehearsal she could find, memorizing harmonies before she even understood song structure. Friends remember her humming hymn tunes while sweeping the floor or helping with cooking, proof that melody had already woven itself into her everyday life. Even then, relatives sensed that the gleam in her eyes each time she sang pointed to something bigger than childhood play. Despite her musical pull, she took a practical path first, enrolling at the University of Port Harcourt, where she earned a degree in physics. It sounds unusual, but those years built discipline and problem-solving skills that later served her ministry. In lecture halls filled with formulas and lab reports, she quietly leaned on scripture for balance, never letting academic pressures drown her love for worship. While classmates prepared for careers in engineering or research, she drafted heartfelt lyrics on the margins of notebooks, proof that her future lay beyond test tubes and equations. Life's turning point arrived when she joined the choir at Christ Embassy, the international Love World ministry led by Pastor Chris Oyakhilome. That choir, famous for vibrant harmonies and energetic praise, became the soil that nurtured her gift. Each rehearsal stretched her range. Each church program sharpened her songwriting ear, and soon she was composing original pieces that merged simple language with powerful biblical truth. Members still recall the first time she taught them a fresh chorus. There was an immediate hush, followed by joyful cheers, as though everyone sensed they had struck spiritual gold. One of those early songs, released years later under the title Waymaker, carried a promise so clear that audiences everywhere felt it instantly. God makes a way even when doors seem sealed. The track dropped in 2015 and traveled faster than anyone predicted. Worship leaders from South Korea to South Africa translated it within weeks. Mandisa, Leland, Michael W. Smith, and many others added their own versions, pushing streaming numbers sky high. Yet the song's real test came in crisis. During the worldwide lockdowns of 2020, videos surfaced of empty hospital corridors echoing with its chorus, ICU nurses humming it under masks, and whole neighborhoods leaning out of windows to sing it together at dusk. In those dark months, Waymaker became both lighthouse and lifeline, proving that a 3-minute melody could steady trembling hearts on every continent. Away from microphones, Sinoch's story gained another joyful chapter on June 28, 2014, when she married Pastor Joseph Egbu at Christ Embassy. They had crossed paths through ministry events, discovering a shared devotion to scripture, service, and excellence. Attendees still remember the ceremony's warmth, the way their vows sounded more like a joint commission than a mere social milestone. Many admired the union as a picture of spiritual compatibility, 2 leaders praying, planning, and dreaming side by side. 5 years later, after countless flights, conferences, and live streams, they welcomed their first child. The news spread quickly, celebrated as a miracle that reinforced themes she had sung about for years: promise, patience, and perfect timing. Fans across the globe posted testimonies of renewed hope in areas where they had waited long for their own breakthroughs. proving that one family's private victory can spark faith far beyond its immediate circle. Together, Sinoch and Joseph kept an intense schedule, headlining worship nights in the United States, the United Kingdom, Ghana, the United Arab Emirates, and more. Viewers tuned in to see them stand shoulder to shoulder, trading smiles between songs and sermons. Virtual devotionals carried both voices into living rooms, blending biblical teaching with stories of God's faithfulness in daily matters. Many couples wrote in, saying the pair's unity encouraged them to pray together and serve together, transforming quiet date nights into brainstorming sessions for local outreach. Then, around 2022, social media whispers shifted the tone. Anonymous posts hinted that distance and disagreement had crept into the marriage. A few blogs claimed months-long absences from joint appearances proved underlying conflict. Others speculated about finances or leadership roles inside their ministry. Screenshots circulated faster than facts. Each rumor spawned another thread of guesses. Strangely, national dailies respected for investigative journalism, The Guardian, Nigeria, Vanguard, The Punch, remained silent, publishing no confirmation or evidence. Even so, hashtags kept trending, and comment sections filled with armchair analysis. Most public figures would rush to issue statements, share timelines, or file lawsuits, yet Sinoch and Joseph chose absolute quiet. No counterposts, no interviews. They posted new worship clips, daily devotionals, and event dates exactly as before, refusing to grant gossip a reply. To many, that silence seemed louder than any denial. Proverbs 26:20 teaches that removing fuel snuffs out fire, and the couple lived that verse line by line, proving that dignity sometimes looks like saying nothing at all. The decision carried weight, because rumors around spiritual leaders can bruise entire congregations. Some believers feel shaken when their favorite songwriter or pastor faces allegations, proven or not. Others lose faith in church authority altogether. By declining public sparring, Sinoch reminded everyone that spiritual battles are rarely won in comment threads. Her focus stayed locked on writing, recording, and lifting crowds in worship, letting fruit speak louder than feeds. Several lessons unfold here. First, marriage joined to ministry walks a tightrope. Travel schedules, performance pressure, and constant public scrutiny test intimacy more than most 9-to-5 jobs. Second, society's appetite for scandal often overlooks the human cost. Behind every headline sit real vows, real children, real late-night prayers for wisdom. Third, leaders model behavior even when silent. Each time Sinoch posted a new hymn rather than a rebuttal, she coached millions on how to handle slander with poise. Around the same period, she kept releasing fresh music, not just a story, A Million Tongues, and others, earning awards from gospel associations across Africa, Europe, and North America. Concert halls still filled, streams still climbed. Invitations kept pouring in for global worship tours. Her resilience turned into a live demonstration that calling outweighs controversy when passion stays rooted in divine purpose. The wider Christian audience drew vital reminders from her stance. Before tapping share, pause long enough to verify. Before typing criticism, bend knees in prayer for those under fire. Gossip rarely wounds only its subject. It weakens collective trust, turning believers into spectators rather than intercessors. Sinoch's experience calls the church to guard speech as fiercely as doctrine, respecting boundaries around private life while cheering public ministry in unity. Even now, on stages from Lagos to London, she raises hands with the same quiet smile. That first drew choir directors to her gentle spirit. The notes soar, congregations answer, and every line of Waymaker carries renewed meaning for people still recovering from pandemic losses, economic strain, or personal grief. Some nights, she shares a brief testimony of waiting 5 years for motherhood, and the room fills with tears and clap offerings from couples holding on to similar hope. In that moment, rumors fade into irrelevance. What remains is a living witness that faithfulness, not fame, keeps songs alive in the human heart. So what does her journey say to the rest of us? Maybe you stand in a season where your own promise feels delayed, your reputation misread, or your story written by strangers online. Her life whispers, "Stay the course, protect peace, and let your work tell the truth." Silence isn't weakness when purpose speaks in surround sound. Consistent service, not reactive posts, carves legacy in stone. As this episode draws to a close, think about the voices that shaped you: grandparents humming hymns, friends sending worship links during hard times, perhaps even Sinoch herself through headphones on a crowded bus ride. If her path touched you today, tap the like button, subscribe for more inspiring stories, and drop a comment sharing the line from Waymaker that means the most to you. Your words might lift someone scrolling past on a rough afternoon. Until next time, keep your heart tuned to hope and remember, even when the world watches for missteps, the strongest message still rises through a life sung in faith.